She stood at the head of the boardroom like a damn queen, manicured hands slicing through the air with arrogance only power could afford. My wife, Rebecca Carter, CEO of Lexicon Tech, mother of rehearsed smiles and pre-rehearsed backstabs. Her hair was pulled into that flawless executive bun she wore whenever she was about to ruin someone's life with a smile. And today, that someone was me. I don't need regular translators in the company, she announced, her voice sharp, smug, theatrical. Even Google Translate can do this. She didn't even glance at me when she said it. She just kept looking at the investors on the call, a few chuckling nervously like they knew not to get in her way. I sat there, still, quiet, skin hot with humiliation, while my position as senior linguistics consultant was erased in front of 12 people in one espresso machine. She fired me in the most performative way possible. In front of the partners. In front of her assistant, who I now realize had lipstick stains on his collar. In front of the damn translator interns I trained myself. I didn't make a scene. I just smiled. I wish you luck at your next meeting, I told her. My voice was calm, maybe too calm. And maybe that's what made her narrow her eyes for just a flicker of a second. Just enough to let me know she sensed I wasn't going to disappear quietly. Because I wasn't. You see, Rebecca thought she was untouchable. She thought years of climbing corporate ladders gave her the right to step on everyone's back, including mine, to sit on that throne. She thought her affair with our newly hired CFO was a secret. She thought I was still that naive, loyal golden retriever of a husband who brought her coffee every morning and foot massages at night while she pretended to work late. She thought firing me would be the end. It was the beginning. What Rebecca didn't know was that I had already connected the dots. The late nights. The perfume that wasn't hers. The calls that went silent when I entered the room. The smirk on CFO Bradley's face every time he left her office, felt slightly off-center. The whispers. The way she started treating me like I was a burden, not a partner. I let her play her hand. Let her feel like she'd won. But what she didn't realize, what she could never imagine in that twisted, entitled mind of hers, was that the business meeting she had planned for Monday would become the stage for something else entirely. Because the clients flying in weren't just clients. They were mine. And I had been preparing. While she spent nights tangled in lies and silk sheets that weren't mine, I had been securing leverage. Old contracts. Partner histories. A new company name already registered under mine. Patents. Leaks. I had packaged her downfall in a gift box, and Monday, I'd deliver it in person. But standing there that Friday, watching her gloat with that glassy grin, all I could do was breathe through the rage. It wasn't just the firing. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was how damn proud she looked doing it. Like I was trash she was finally throwing out. I didn't care about the job. Not really. But you don't spit on a man who built your empire with you, only to invite your side piece into the penthouse while you pretend he was never there. So I stood up slowly, straightened my jacket, and locked eyes with her as I said it again. I wish you luck at your next meeting. Bradley raised an eyebrow. Rebecca didn't flinch, but I saw it. The smallest twitch in her cheek. The fear that maybe I knew more than I let on. And I did. So I walked out calm, quiet, already planning my return. The look on her face Monday morning? That would be worth every damn betrayal. When I left the building that day, I didn't take the elevator. I took the stairs, every floor, every step, like peeling away the years I had given her. Each flight reminded me of the late nights we spent building Lexicon from scratch. I remembered setting up her first presentation while she panicked over her outfit. I remember driving 8 hours just to deliver one contract she forgot at home. I remembered the way she used to look at me like I was her entire world. And now, I was just another employee. Disposable. That weekend, I didn't sleep. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. My mind was razor sharp. I had names, files, backups. I had watched her get sloppy over the past year. She let her ambition blind her. She thought success made her untouchable. That's the funny thing about power. When you think you have all of it, you don't see the knife at your back. On Sunday, while she was out doing yoga at some overpriced wellness center, which I now knew meant hooking up with Bradley at his loft downtown, I went back to her house. Still had the keys. She forgot I never gave them up. I didn't break anything. I didn't even touch her stuff. I just went to the office we used to share. My name was still on the placard. I took a picture of it, not out of nostalgia, but to remind myself never to be that man again. I packed up my notes, a few USB drives she overlooked, and the small black notebook I had tucked inside a hollowed-out copy of War and Peace. The irony wasn't lost on me. The notebook had everything. Names of international partners she lied to. Translation errors she never corrected. Invoices paid to shell companies. The kind of things that didn't just end careers, they ended reputations. And I wasn't going to destroy her with rage. I was going to do it with truth. That Monday, I woke up before sunrise. Shaved. Pressed my best suit. I looked in the mirror and didn't see the man she fired. I saw the man who made her. Her meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. At 8:47, I walked into the same building she fired me in. No one stopped me. My security clearance had been revoked, but I wasn't walking through the front. I took the back corridor where the catering staff entered, something I had noticed during our fifth-floor redesign. One of the delivery boys owed me a favor. I had once helped him translate paperwork for his visa. I walked in carrying a steel case. Inside the boardroom, the air was electric, full of fake grins and clinking glasses. Rebecca was already seated at the head of the table, shaking hands with a Korean delegation from Hyan International. Huge deal. Career-making. She was about to finalize a merger she had been chasing for 3 years. Bradley stood by her side like a smug little accessory. I let them begin. Let them pour water. Let her start her speech, flawless, confident, polished. And then I walked in. Nobody knew what to do. Rebecca blinked like I was a ghost. Bradley actually stepped back. I walked calmly to the far end of the table, set down my case, opened it, and passed around 12 printed copies of a document titled Untranslated Lies, a summary of Lexicon's internal failures and breaches. Silence. Then murmurs. Then something worse, whispers in Korean. Because the document? It was in perfect Korean, and it detailed every misstep Lexicon made in the past 6 months. From the email she never had translated correctly, to the cultural offenses caused by auto-translation during negotiation stages. It showed the Hyan execs exactly how she disrespected their language, their culture, and their trust. Her face turned white. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I didn't say a word. I just watched. The lead delegate stood up, slowly and coldly, bowed once to me, and then walked out. No words. Just the sound of her empire cracking at the seams. Rebecca turned to me, voice shaking but still trying to sound in control. What the hell did you just do? I looked her dead in the eyes. I just translated everything. Google couldn't handle this one. She didn't say anything at first. Her mouth opened, then shut, like she was trying to reboot her brain but couldn't find the right script. I swear, in that moment, the great Rebecca Carter, the woman who could manipulate a boardroom like a symphony, looked small. Like a kid who just realized the test was in a language she never bothered to learn. Bradley jumped in, like the little lapdog he is. This is sabotage. You don't even work here anymore. Security. But no one moved. Not one person. Even the assistants had their phones out, quietly recording or pretending to answer imaginary emails just to avoid the storm brewing between us. And I stood there, calm as hell, watching the flames catch. Sabotage? I repeated, walking slowly around the table. That's rich coming from the guy who's been rerouting consulting fees into fake development grants. I left the proof in the back appendix, by the way. Pages 39 through 46. He paled so fast I thought he might faint. Rebecca tried to recover, straightened her blazer like that could somehow reset the power dynamics. This is slander, and you've just committed corporate espionage. I'll sue. I laughed. Out loud. Honest, full, bitter laugh that echoed against the glass. Good. Let's go to court. I'd love to go to court. Let's drag every little detail into the light. But before you do that, check your email. Her phone buzzed on the table. She hesitated, then snatched it up. Her eyes scanned the screen, and I watched the blood drain from her face in real time. She whispered, "No." "Oh yes," I said softly. "Turns out, the merger documents from Seoul you never reviewed? The ones you trusted your precious Google Translate with? They had clauses. Real ones. Hidden. Clever. You already signed away exclusive rights to your core software for 10 years. They own your platform now, Rebecca. You're lying. Check page 2. She did. Her fingers started trembling. And the room? Silent. Dead silent. I tried to warn you, I said. Tried to help. But you were too busy screwing the CFO and planning my public humiliation. Get out, she spat, voice raw. I leaned in, just a little. Close enough for only her to hear. This isn't revenge. This is translation. You built an empire on lies you didn't understand. I just helped you read them. She stood up so fast her chair toppled. Everyone stared. Her face full panic now. She shoved Bradley's arm off her shoulder like he was diseased. Fix this, she hissed at him. He didn't move. I turned to the board. Gentlemen, Ladies, if you want real communication, real understanding between cultures, you know where to find me. I left the room to stunned silence. In the moment the door clicked shut behind me, I let myself feel it. Not joy, not victory, just clarity. She fired me, humiliated me, betrayed everything we ever built together. But none of that compared to the look on her face when she realized I wasn't just the guy bringing coffee. I was the guy who made sure she understood exactly what it felt like to lose everything. In perfect translation, I didn't go home after that. I didn't even go to my temporary apartment. I walked. No destination. Just the cold morning air hitting my face as my brain buzzed with the silence she left me with. There's something strange about winning a war you never wanted to fight. I should have felt powerful, vindicated. But mostly I just felt tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep. The kind that comes from carrying someone else's ego on your back for years and finally setting it down. My phone didn't stop buzzing. Calls from old colleagues, board members, even a few reporters. Word spread fast. Rebecca's downfall wasn't a crack, it was an implosion. The merger collapsed. Investors pulled out. By noon, Lexicon Tech stock dropped 27%. The mighty queen fell off her throne. And I wasn't even watching. I was sitting on a bench near the river, letting the wind remind me I still existed outside of her. Around 3, she finally called. No hello. No small talk. You ruined me, she said. Her voice didn't sound like hers anymore. It was hoarse, shaky, panicked. I didn't ruin you, I replied, still staring at the water. You ruined yourself. I just translated it. You smug son of a... Don't. I cut in. Don't pretend this is about betrayal. You fired me in front of a dozen people like I was dirt. You disrespected me in meetings, in our marriage, in our home. You treated me like I was beneath you. You made me your husband, then treated me like a doormat. I had to make hard decisions for the company, yeah. Stop lying, Rebecca, I snapped. You didn't fire me because of the company. You fired me because I reminded you who you used to be. And you couldn't stand looking in the mirror anymore. Silence. Then, quietly. What do you want? There it was. The real question. The one she thought I was working toward this whole time. She believed every move I made was revenge with a price tag. That if she offered me something, money, shares, an apology, I'd fold. I don't want anything, I said. You're lying. No. That's the difference between us. I did this because you needed to be stopped. Not because I needed something in return. You're pathetic. I laughed. You're calling me pathetic from rock bottom. That's new. Click. She hung up. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel that twist in my chest. No panic. No dread. No craving to chase her down and fix it. Just a hollow space where her voice used to live. That night, I packed the last of my things from our old house. She wasn't there. The locks had been changed, but I still had the locksmith's number. I didn't touch anything she owned. Just my books. My photos. The small stuff that mattered. On the mantel, next to our wedding picture, was a frame with a quote she used to repeat. Power is the ability to shape the world into what you need it to be. I stared at it for a long time, then took the photo out and left the frame behind. She could keep the empty shell. That seemed fitting. Before I left, I wrote one thing on the back of the photo and left it in her drawer. Power without understanding burns everything it touches. Then I walked out. And this time, it was me who closed the door. The days that followed were quieter than I expected. No drama. No more screaming voicemails. Just an eerie silence, like the world was waiting for the next act in a play that ended early. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel. Relief. Maybe. Closure. But all I felt was space. Space where lies used to live. Space where I used to make excuses for her. For us. By the end of the week, I got a message from Jenna, one of the junior partners at Lexicon. Just 3 words. You were right. It hit harder than I thought it would. Because for years, I tried to be the man who held everything together while Rebecca lit it all on fire. I swallowed too much. Smiled too long. Gave her the benefit of every doubt. Until doubt was all I had left. Then came the final confirmation. An email from Hyan International. Subject line, private consultation opportunity. They wanted to hire me. Personally. Not as a translator. As an advisor. To lead a new team focused on cultural integrity in tech. The same thing I tried to build at Lexicon before Rebecca laughed me out of the boardroom. They saw what I did, not just to her, but for communication. For respect. For clarity. I stared at that email for an hour before replying. Then said yes. Not for revenge. For rebirth. 2 weeks later, Rebecca showed up at my door. I almost didn't open it. She was in a hoodie and sunglasses like she thought people still cared enough to recognize her. Her hair was a mess, eyes red, voice flat. I need to talk. I stepped outside but didn't invite her in. She looked me over, like she didn't know what she was searching for. Maybe weakness. Maybe guilt. You really think you were the better one in all this? I didn't answer. You were always waiting for me to fail. Don't deny it. I shook my head. No. I was waiting for you to stop failing me. That hit her. Hard. Her lips trembled for a second. You're just bitter. No, I said. Not anymore. You stripped that out of me. You cheated, lied, and still acted like you were the victim. I stayed silent for so long, I forgot what my own voice sounded like. She looked away. I loved you, I said. But not the version you became. The version that used me as a stepping stone and called it partnership. I didn't mean to. You did. You always meant to. You just thought I'd never do anything about it. She didn't deny it. Instead, she asked, do you hate me? I paused. No, I said finally. But I don't respect you either. And that's worse. She stood there for a moment longer, then turned and walked away. And that was the last time I saw her. No closure. No cinematic ending. Just a broken woman walking away from the man who finally stopped carrying her. And me? I started over. New city. New role. New life. Every morning, I wake up without that heavy weight on my chest. Without the constant second-guessing. Without wondering if today will be the day she finally admits the truth. Because now I know the truth. And I speak it fluently. Starting over wasn't some magical moment. There was no music, no instant peace. It was just me, in a small apartment with a mattress on the floor and boxes I didn't feel like unpacking. But it was mine. No shared passwords. No lipstick stains on collars that weren't mine. No fake smiles waiting behind a front door. The first night I sat alone with takeout and cheap wine, I caught myself checking the time, like she was still out, like I was still waiting for her to come home late with some lie about traffic or drinks with the girls. Old habits die slower than love. But they die. I didn't miss her. I missed who I thought she was. I missed the mornings before the betrayal, back when she used to leave notes on the fridge with little hearts drawn in the corner. Before success got to her head, before ambition turned her into a monster with manicured hands. Before Bradley, before the boardroom betrayal, before the man I used to be vanished inside the man she wanted me to become. Work helped. Hyan flew me out to Seoul to meet the team. First class, driver waiting at the terminal, 5-star everything. But it wasn't about the luxury. It was about being respected, heard. Every idea I brought, they listened. Every correction, every nuance, they valued. They didn't see me as the ex-husband of a fallen CEO. They saw me as someone who understood the unspoken, who could catch meaning where others relied on machines. One evening after a meeting, I walked the Han River, watching the city lights ripple off the water. And I thought about her. About how, right now, she was probably sitting in that cold penthouse she refused to leave, sipping wine she couldn't taste, firing assistants for bringing her the wrong kind of silence. She had always feared being irrelevant. And now, without the image, the company, and me, she finally was. A month passed. Then came the letter. Handwritten. No return address. The handwriting I knew better than my own. I almost didn't read it. But I did. There's no apology big enough, and I won't insult you by pretending this is one. I lost everything. I deserve to. But I think you should know, the moment you walked out that boardroom, they all knew you were the only one who ever told the truth. I hated you for it. Then I envied you for it. Now I just miss who we used to be. Not to fix anything. Just to say it. There was no signature. Just a smudge where a tear must have landed. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, and never took it out again. Because she was right about one thing. There was no fixing it. But there was moving on. And I had. It took time. More than I expected. Healing isn't linear. It's a maze where you run into walls that look like exits, and sometimes you mistake silence for peace when it's really just exhaustion. But eventually, the noise inside me settled. I stopped replaying her voice in my head. Stopped waking up angry. Stopped wondering what I could have done differently. The truth is, I did everything right, except leaving sooner. Some nights, I still think about it all. Not with pain. Not with longing. Just perspective. Like looking back at a storm you once stood in, soaked and shivering, and realizing you survived it. I started mentoring translators. Real ones. People who wanted to bridge gaps, not just replace words. I taught them the one thing Rebecca never understood. Translation isn't about converting language. It's about honoring meaning. She never honored anyone but herself, and that was her downfall. I, on the other hand, learned that love without respect is just a slow betrayal. That loyalty to the wrong person can become a prison you decorate with memories. And that when someone shows you they've stopped seeing you as human, believe them. Now I drink my coffee in silence, and it actually tastes like something. I speak to people who see me, not just what I can do for them. I work with integrity, I sleep without grinding my teeth, and I wake up every morning not waiting for the other shoe to drop. The man she fired? He's gone. The man who stood up, translated her lies, and walked away without burning down the world, he stayed. And if you're reading this, wondering whether you should hold on or finally let go, let go. Because the version of you that survives the fire, he's worth meeting. Trust me,